haven't been a Christian all of my life. My parents introduced me to church when I was 13. I went along and it just seemed boring and irrelevant. I just didn't connect with it. My dad took me to a meeting, and this meeting was held in a school. And the guy talked about Jesus in a way that I'd never heard anybody talk about Jesus before. It made sense. I wanted to know this Jesus. I made a step at the end of the meeting to ask Jesus into my life, and I believe he came into my life. The problem was I was quite bullied at school, and I didn't want to share this step that I've made. There was a fear that they may bully me more. And I didn't pursue my relationship with Jesus at all. I didn't follow him. For me, I wanted to be accepted. I wanted people to like me. And it wasn't until I started my job that I started really gaining acceptance from the people around me. And I quite liked it. And I was introduced to drinking, and I drank. I was introduced to smoking drugs. I smoked drugs. I was introduced to taking harder drugs, and I took harder drugs. It seemed as though I got this acceptance from the people around me. I was known for being quite silly at school, and I took that into the workplace. People seemed to love it. I got more and more acceptance. What was meant to be recreational, what was meant to be fun, what was meant to give me happiness, slowly became a habit. I needed these drugs. I needed people's approval. And what I used to do to fuel this was I used to steal, I used to cheat, I used to lie. I'm quite ashamed of the fact that I led some of my friends astray on this. My life was heading down a spiral. It was out of control. It was dangerous. And I was putting my life and my friend's life in danger. I wasn't happy anymore. I was talking to some friends. We were chilling out when I had this encounter with the living God. I had this vision of Jesus. And all of a sudden, this fear just came upon me. It was as if God had taken me, put me on a stool and said, look at your life. You made a decision to follow Christ 8 years ago. You see, I was 21 at this stage, 8 years ago. Are you happy with where you're at? Are you really happy with the direction your life's taking? And I had to say no. I took my friends home. I went to my bedroom. I locked myself in my room, and I'm there in the dark, and I'm looking up, and I'm just saying, God, why have I got this fear? Why do people die? What's the purpose in life? I would go to work, I would do my job, I would come home, and I'd lock myself in my room, absolutely full of depression. I didn't want to speak to anybody, I didn't want to see anybody, I didn't want to do anything. The only thing that gave me comfort was I'd put the God TV channel on late at night and fall asleep to it. One night, several weeks into this depression that I was feeling, this guy said something that just really hit home. It was as if he had written it especially for me, knowing the situation I was going in. Again, he talked about Jesus in such a way that I was like, yes, I remember. He said these words, he said, and I'll remember this till the day I die. He said, if you've given your life to Christ before, but you've walked away, you can come back. You can come back. And I was like, this is exactly what I need to do. I asked for forgiveness for turning away. I confessed my sins. I said, yes, Jesus, I believe that you died for me, you rose again, and that you are God. I want you in my life. The next morning, I woke up and I had this sense of joy, and this sounds funny, but I opened the door and I noticed how blue the sky was, and I noticed the colours of creation, and I had this skip in my step. I had no desire to smoke a cigarette. I had no desire to take any drugs. I had no desire to drink. Suddenly I felt like I had purpose. Suddenly I felt like I had hope. Now my life hasn't been all rosy since then. It's been nearly 10 years. I've had my ups and I've had my downs. But through the ups, I know God is with me. Through the downs, I know God is with me. He is my firm foundation. I have a wife who is just so beautiful and so wonderful that I'd never thought I'd ever have. We've been married for almost 8 years. It's fantastic. God has given me a house, which is just amazing. I'm in a church that is just growing and so vibrant and so in love with Jesus. I have friends around me that care about me. I don't care what people think anymore. I don't want acceptance from people. All I want is Jesus. I've seen lives transformed. It's amazing. I'm so happy to be with Jesus.